Hey there, welcome to another episode of Behind the Mask. I'm your host, Sarah Joy, your friendly neighborhood interrogator turned clone, helping you get to know the person who is behind the screen name. Tonight, we're chatting with AJ. You may know him from Coruscant Nights, The Otherplace, Dicey Cantina, and as a few different voices on Flight Risk. And there was a new game that you're on. Oh my gosh, I know it's with Gracie Panda Games, but I just blanked.
That's it. I'll be with
Okay,
them.
on
Yep.
Gracie Panda Games. Woo, woo. Everybody say hello to AJ. AJ, thank you for being here. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you for having me. I'm AJ Kimball. I live in the Southern Oregon coast, on the Southern Oregon coast. I'm a husband, father of two, and I love Star Wars, and I love being on here, and I'm thankful that you chose me as February's interviewee and interrogated the subject. And it's podcast day, Star Wars podcast day, nonetheless. So
It
many
is,
different
we're
honors.
celebrating Star
Yeah.
Wars Podcast Day by having you, the star of many a Star Wars podcast, here on this video talk show.
Happy to be here.
I
Happy
like
to
it. I didn't
represent.
know. Woo. I didn't realize it was Star Wars Podcast Day. We planned that really well, didn't we?
Oh, we did. Primo planning. It was great.
Perfect. We totally meant to do that.
Hmm.
Awesome. So tell us a little more about yourself. How does the Muggle world perceive you?
How does the Muggle world perceive me? They question like, what do I do or what don't I do? Um,
That's very true.
so I wear many different hats in life. Father, husband. I'm an elected official for the school boards. So I serve our
Oh, that's
community by
right.
working on the school boards.
Hmm.
I'm an elder at our church. I help out with camps and youth. Um, I volunteer. I'm on boards for the preschool, and I volunteer at the preschool. I used to work at the preschool as one of the assistants. I was doing cranberry, you name it. I've done it around here.
Hold on. You skipped over that last part. You were doing cranberries?
Yeah, I used to work in cranberries. I used to be a farmer.
Oh my God, I love that. Weren't you also a first responder at some point?
I was, and yep, I
Hmm.
was EMT basic, and I was a firefighter at the volunteers. And so yeah, make sure you volunteer at your local place. I know out here on the West Coast, the majority is volunteers. 90% is all volunteer efforts. So come out, come help, be a first responder, save a life, have fun. And so
I like that. We're going to plug that in there. And so I used to work in really North Carolina. Our fire department, three of our fire departments in the county were volunteer. So mad respect for y'all. The response time was always amazing.
yeah, it was a huge amount of fun. Nothing like being woken up in the middle of the night to go rescue someone in a car wreck, and so it
Oh
was
my
it,
God,
it was
true.
so much fun. Yeah, um, and
Yeah.
and I still support them. I do art for to promote them, and my longtime D&D buddy he became our fire chief recently. So
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, so
And
pretty rad.
you casually slipped that last bit in there too. You just said, I did art for,
Mhm.
the volunteer fire department. That's the other thing that you do is
That is
art.
another thing I do. Yes, yeah, I've
Yep,
been doing
yep.
art quite a bit. Um,
I love it. I love it. AJ, you and I are Jack and Jill of all trades here.
that's I think that's our generation where we had to
Oh my
figure
God,
out
I
how
know.
to do everything, you
Hmm.
know.
And still be happy.
Oh no, we have to pretend to be happy and
Okay,
and
that's
and
good.
then medicate or self-medicate on the side to make us feel happy enough to
Right.
function the next day. So
Yep. That
yeah.
explains a bout in my 20s and then my
Mhm.
current medicine cabinet in my almost 40s.
Yeah. And now
I
we play
like it.
games to for and now we play games for our mental health and learn
Yep,
that
that is our self-medication.
learn that we don't have to put on a facade. We can just be as normal as we can. So
In game or in general?
Yes. When
Okay.
life is a game. So, we learned that, you
That's
try to get the
very
high
true.
score, you try to, get through the game and get to the next level. And
That's right. Level up.
mhm,
So
mhm,
I'm super curious. We're talking games, right? What was your
yeah.
first game?
My papa gave me a choice when I was in the first grade whether to go to the Denver Zoo or get a original Nintendo. I chose the Nintendo. So Super Mario was my first game. My first role playing game. My first role playing game was D&D Second Edition in my buddy's basement with a guy who had no clue what we were doing, but I knew that
I
I
know this is
wanted
best though.
the Infinity Gauntlet and I wanted to be Adam Warlock. So that's
How'd
what
that
I.
go?
It was great. It was stupid fun, and it didn't work at all, but we had fun. And then and for years, decades, I really got into the gaming system Rifts. I don't know if anybody's
Ooh,
Palladium
I don't
games.
know that. Tell me.
It's the world explodes full of ley lines and monsters and dimensions happen, and it's future and there's a lot going on. And it's huge, crunchy. So it's not like old school Shadowrun crunchy number system,
Hmm.
but pretty numbers crunchy. But yeah, so you had these weird ley lines with dimensional beings coming in and out, and you could travel along them, and there was magic and technology and mega damage and skulls. And Keith Perkinson's was one of the main
Hmm.
artists for it, and I just loved the art style. He was told I need some art for this, and so he just did a bunch of art, and they made up the lore with the pictures. And so,
Oh, cool. So the
yeah,
art actually inspired the lore.
yeah, yeah. And so,
Hmm.
but I never, let's see, it took me about 20 years before I actually played the game. And then it was freeform and it was horrible and I didn't enjoy it. But, you know,
What?
oh yeah, it was, you ever been in with those gaming groups where I love the guys. So I'm going to say it as
Uh-huh,
nice as I
uh-huh,
can.
uh-huh,
Like
uh-huh.
we just all vie for who's the best, not caring about what's actually going to happen or how logic, because fantasy games, how common sense or how anything called a story was working. We were just trying to one up each other. That was like the majority
So
of my D&D world. So,
you all were just trying to win D&D.
oh, we were trying to win each other. Yeah, we were trying to beat each other. Yeah, it was horrible, and but we learned a lot. You know,
Oh my gosh. What was your favorite lesson you learned from that?
my biggest lesson I learned is that I can love my friends, but I don't have to play with my friends if I'm not having fun.
Ooh, that's such a good lesson. Do you mind expanding on that a little bit?
Yeah. So when I was single before I met my no, before I married my lovely wife, we would have so we would spend many hours just gaming with Pathfinder D&D. That's what we
Hmm.
did. I one of my how I got into Cranberry is my buddy Bill got me into D&D, and so I started hanging out. And
Hmm.
I would go to the farm where he was working and hang out with him and play D&D while he was working because we were farmers and that's what we could do. And so I ended up getting hired on there, and I got hired on to do art for
Hmm.
a cranberry winery, and so we played a lot, and so we all became really good friends. But at the same time, we're all just juvenile in our thinking, and we would try to one up each other. It became games of PvP when there was no real gaming going on, and I get to the point where I'm married and my wife's at home, but I'm hanging out with these guys and I'm coming home pissed off at the game. And I'm like, I have to invest my time differently. I can't play. Why am I doing this when I can go hang out with someone I love and enjoy? And so I ended up leaving my D&D group for years.
Hmm.
And so that was, I think, the most valuable lesson that I could say is you can still love your friends and like your friends, but we only have so much time to invest in things.
Hmm.
So invest them wisely. So I invested it in my spending time with my wife and my kids. So
Awesome. I love this. I love this. This is why I love doing the show, because I feel like there are definitely people out there listening. I know a lot of us are seasoned gamers, and it is so easy to get caught up in the like whirlwind and the passion that is the game, and like it can take
yeah,
over a part of you, a part of your life, to a point where
absolutely.
like it does make you miserable. This thing that you love makes you miserable, and then it's affecting your everyday life,
Mhm.
affecting your quality with your kids, affecting your quality time with your wife, and
Mhm.
I love what you said. You can love your friends. You don't have to game with them.
Yeah,
Like,
and that took, it's hard for me to say, but it took
mhm.
time to heal that, right?
Yeah.
Like one of the questions was like, how did I meet Mark? Well,
Hmm.
in healing, I found Dice for Brains, an actual play Star Wars podcast,
Hmm.
which is fantastic.
Hmm.
That's where we have our Erica Darner is from that. And
Hmm.
Mark was starting his Coruscant Nights, and we both were on the Dice for Brains for Discord, right? And so
Hmm.
Ross was doing was doing these questions and answers, and they were fantastic. And one of them was along the same lines, like, "What have you learned with your D&D?" Or ask a question, get advice. So I got that, and I realized that there's gaming communities out there that I can pick and choose who I want to play with,
Hmm.
and that was huge. That was huge for me. And then just how inclusive everybody is, and how we strive to get along, not at
Yes.
the, not at the expense of each other, or not even amount of like compromise, but we do it because we want to, without being bitter about it. Does that make
Hmm.
sense? And
Oh yeah.
and so finding this community and Dice for Brains community, it was nuts. So, and it was a good change for me. And now I can go game with those guys. It's not a problem.
Hmm. Hmm.
But at the same time, I know I have other communities that I can play in that are fantastic, like you know this one. So
Oh yeah. I love it. I love that so much. It touches on such a deep truth too, especially as we get older. Like we can still have our friends, like we can still love our friends, but we can also find people around us who build us up, who
Mhm.
make us better.
Yeah,
So I love that. That's why I was excited to talk to you, AJ. This is good stuff. I guess we can get into some of the questions.
but trying to
You
touch on them
already
a little
answered.
bit. Yeah.
No, I like to ignore like 90% of them and then make up my own most of the
Oh yeah.
time.
Yeah.
But that used to be my job. I I'm gonna go right off with one from Blame Cat, which is like the first question asked.
Okay.
What inspires you to create stories as a DM or a player and/or a player? And let me actually ask, do you DM? Let's
I
start
do.
there.
I do.
Okay.
I recently started GMing Star Wars with some local friends, and so it's been fantastic.
Oh, fun.
We've been doing Hop Company with Andrew and Mark. We did a little bit of live play with my sister Amanda and Erica,
Oh,
which was fantastic.
sister.
Yeah, she's fantastic. Both of them are. Um, and yeah, and so Uh, I do GM and DM a little bit. What is
Mm-hmm.
my inspiration? First, I want to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
I lean heavily on the rule of cool. Like, I want to play a game. I don't want to give a crap about the rules if they're going to get in the way of fun. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the first things I try to lay down. Like, we're going to have a story. Things, the mechanics aren't going to be perfect, but I want this to be a cooperative game where we tell a story together. I want to focus on your characters, and I want you to shine. Like, I expect the things I make to be destroyed. It hurts, Andrew and Mark, when I name a character and you guys just roll them over every single time. But at the same time, that's what they're made for. And so, what's my inspiration from starting a game is usually, can I get people interested in playing? And then I try to find a cool picture that inspires me. Um,
Okay.
and so, on Instagram, going over stuff like that, and then webbing it out from there.
So what I would like to know what picture is inspiring you right now. And we can drop it in the chat later.
Mm.
But like what picture do you have right now that's starting to inspire a game? I want to know what future AJ is gonna GM. I also love that the inspiration comes from pictures, from art.
Yeah, well, I'm starting my I have a new group of new players, which is
Hmm.
fantastic. One of the things from Dice for Brains was that they're like, bring a new person to the table. So I have a few brand new players who knew that I played D&D, knew that I played Star Wars, and wanted to play. And so I said, all right, we're going to be Ewoks. I don't need a picture for Ewoks. I know what an Ewok is. I live with an Ewok. I've always wanted an Ewok. And so it's a base, like, we're going to just be goofy because we're going to get our goofs out. We're going to learn how to hit things, and we're going to learn the mechanics. And then I basically had a total party kill, and I froze them all in carbonite. And so now I had the, I know. And so now I wanted to start them with new characters where they understood the mechanics, and and they could make a character that wasn't me shoehorning them in. Because the first time was, we're making Ewoks, and this
So
one was.
that actually begs the question,
Mhm.
your love of Ewoks.
Yeah,
Where, and I'm going to say it just like Mark said because it's brilliant. Where does that walk love come from?
the walk love comes from um, my first Star Wars. You know how with Doctor Who, everyone, who's your first Doctor? Well, my first Star Wars was Return of the Jedi.
Hmm.
First grade, I remember it because it was a holiday. Because back in the old days, we didn't have all this fancy digital stuff. If you didn't have a VHS copy, or a laser disc, I suppose, you had to wait for Thanksgiving or Christmas, and sometimes at the end of the school year, to watch Star Wars on, I think it was TBS. That was
Uh-huh.
it. That was it. That's the only way we
Right,
could. Yeah.
right. Yes.
And
I
so
know, I know this well. I know this well.
first grade, it was. I remember watching it, sitting on my couch. I could see the pattern. I was downstairs in my own little room, watching as those gates in Jabba's palace rise, and there's Luke Skywalker. And from that moment on, I'm like, this is a Western in space, and there's samurai, and there's swords, and there's and this Darth Vader dude, and then there was the Ewoks, and I was like, yeah, it worked. I'm like, this is what I've always wanted. And then the Caravan of Courage and the Battle for Endor showed up somewhere in my life, and I had this teddy bear that I wanted to turn into an Ewok, to the
Uh-huh.
point where I took the stuffing out of his nose and pushed it in so it would be smushed. So yeah, I still got him. Uh,
Oh my
so,
God, that's so good.
yeah,
You're like,
and,
I love Ewoks so much. I'm going to cut open this bear and
yeah.
remove its insides.
Well, yeah. Well, the bear has a zipper in the back. It used to have a voice
Okay.
modulator, so you would talk and it would
Hmm.
talk back to you. And
Like Teddy
so,
Ruxpin.
similar, yeah, yeah. This
Hmm.
was a AG bear, so
Ah, okay.
yeah,
Okay.
pretty close, yeah.
Nice.
But that's where the
Oh my God.
Ewok love comes from. Is me? It was my first. Um, it was my first Star Wars, so it's just always been there. And they were so crafty, you know.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love that. It's always Ewoks now until forever.
And they're fun to draw. And they're easy to draw, and they're so expressive. So
So then Erica asks, why rabbits? Where does the rabbit love stem from? We're gonna go on this like journey of why AJ loves animals, apparently.
yeah.
And the furry ones, the cute
Funny
ones.
is I don't really give a crap about rabbits. It's like I don't know. I don't care about rabbits. Like
So what was the inspiration?
I can only think that it stems from Jackson and growing up with the Trix rabbit. Jackson. So Jackson was one of the
Oh my God.
Star Wars guys, right? And he was this
Hmm.
obnoxious space jammer, and that's
Hmm.
the Green Leppies, And so when Baxter came along with the Life Day specials that we did here, Mark was asking different things, and we're like, it's got to be a Leppy. And so I ended up playing that one, and then Roberto, I don't know, for the other place, I season 2 I play Roberto, who is a Kanara, which is a rabbit folk, and it just fit. There's just something about it. I have no clue. I'm not a big rabbit lover, but it just seems like I just keep playing them.
Keep coming back to rabbits.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love it. I assumed that it was Drunkle Grog's influence.
I'm sure there was something there. He influences me quite a bit.
Speaking of influence,
Mm-hmm.
so Drunkle Grog did tell me something about you that's super interesting that I do kind of want to poke into. You had a very powerful influence in your life who helped shape you. Are you okay talking about that?
I don't know which one you're talking about.
Oh, you've had multiple people in your life influence you.
There's tons of people that influence me. So which one?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. He was a guy, older gentleman who helped you, a couple of your buddies. Drunkle Grog helped me out in the chat.
This guy?
Bad influence?
That influence?
What is that? Timothy's on? I don't know, but tell me about that.
Oh, what's he thinking of?
I don't know because he's not dropping it in the chat for me.
Oh, Oh,
Farvo?
are we gonna go Farvo? Oh, we're not talking about Farvo. Farvo's gonna hurt.
Oh, are
Mirror
you
Saga.
okay?
Oh no, the Mirror Saga. Oh, we're not crying on stage. Come on.
We can
Uh,
cry on stage. This is a safe place here.
this is a safe place. No, Mark. You guys are horrible, all of you.
So yeah, no. Who was your
Oh,
inspiration
okay,
for
okay.
Farvo?
So with
Yeah,
Farvo,
thanks, guys.
yeah, thanks, guys. Um, Jerks. No, I love them. Jerks. So on my arc for Coruscant Knights, I play Mir, who's a rock dude, and
That was one of my favorite arcs, by the way.
sweet. That
Yes.
was that was super sad. And so backing up a bit, there's a play by post that we do and or had going with a bunch of us, and I ended up playing Rexy, who was this rock person in a droid body, right? And so
Mhm.
I came to really love the whole arc that we did in it. And Mark approached me with playing on Coruscant Nights, and then we went through a couple character things. What about doing an origin story? Because we knew how it ended, but we didn't know
Mhm.
how this person began. And so with Mir, um, that's how we did the storyline because we knew the ending. And so the inspiration for Farvo, the guy who found me, was one of the most lovable guys I know. It's my in-law's dad, and he's a tinkerer. He loves kids. He's always happy, always ready to eat, um, always willing to make these whole bunch of different projects, and he's just fantastic. And so, um, yeah. So when I was drawing Mir and Danto, I was like, what does this dude look like? You know, what's the past? And so I'm trying to get something off my phone real quick. Um, and so I found this
Stop reading
picture.
Drunkle Grog's comments.
Well, it's hard. It's hard. Uh,
I know.
uh, yeah. So Craig Wallum, he's a super dude. Um, and I don't know if you can see that, but this dude right there, super inspirational.
Dull. Yeah.
Um, always happy to see him. You know, he does art projects with his grandkids, like not just like we're gonna build a paper airplane. No, we're gonna build ramps and boxes to store your cedar chest, you know, and stuff like that. And it's just fantastic, dude. And so I was like, what better person would I want starting my life off with than someone who's gonna love me, who's gonna teach me stuff, and who's going to give me freedom to explore and give me guidance to shepherd me back down the right path. And all for what, 20 plus years now, that guy has always been solid. And so,
I love
yeah,
that.
yeah. And he's doing good. He had a bout, well, he still battles with cancer. So, but super dude,
But
loves his
apparently he's
wife.
winning.
He's
So,
winning.
yeah.
Yeah, he's still winning. So,
You know, when you're describing him, like, loves his grandkids, does art projects with them, helps his community, is always super positive, loves his wife. You know who else that sounds like to me, friend?
mhm. Give it to me. Give it to me.
That's right. You
Yeah.
know it. You know it. It's you. It's you.
Oh,
You know,
thanks.
may we all be so lucky to have that mentor in our life to model our lives after, and if we're not, may we be that person.
Yeah. And
So
I think that comes from, you know, our growing up where we needed those people, and you know, I needed it, I got it, and so you know, I try to give it back. Um,
I
and
love
no,
that.
I don't want it ever to seem like I'm always the nice guy. I have a jerk streak in me. I'm not
I
gonna
know we're
lie.
all jerks.
Just
Yeah.
just to be clear, like you know, I don't. I try not to bring it out on online, but it's there. I need my space. So
As we all do, which is good and called being human.
yeah,
So don't worry, we won't build you up that high.
no,
We
don't.
won't build you
No.
up on that high of a pedestal. We'll just take it down a little bit. So I actually got super caught up in the chat, so I've got to
Easy.
jump back over to your questions. I know it's such a good chat tonight. The chat is popping. If y'all haven't, do the kids still say that? Did I just
I
like
have no idea.
super
Yeah, it's fine.
date myself?
You
Yeah,
did, but
that's all
you
right.
know, oops, I did it again. What can you do?
Right. Oh God. Okay,
Mhm.
so we're gonna jump back into a question from, oh, I like this one that Drumbo Croc put here, which I'm just super, super interested to hear what your response is. What is your favorite conversation that you've had with Sarah Joy?
it. Well, it was a private conversation you and I had.
Mm-hmm.
I was figure drawing, and it's gonna sound awkward, but I asked you if you were a strong woman, and you said you absolutely were.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because I was doing figure drawing, I'm like, would you consider yourself a strong woman? Not like,
Like this,
yeah,
not like this.
well, that too, but and kind of both. And so I thought that was my favorite, that we can talk like that without it being weird. That's all. Makes sense? I don't know.
I don't know. You just broke up through that whole thing.
Oh, of course I did. Yeah, my favorite conversation.
You're good.
I'm good. I'm good. Okay. All right.
Yeah, you're back. You're talking
Okay.
normally now.
All right. Didn't go robot. Okay. What was the question? Where are we at?
The question was, you started with it was when we talked about, are you a strong woman, because you were figure
Mhm.
drawing, and then it totally just went.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and that was it. It was that, yes, you are, and that we can have a conversation like that without it being awkward and over sexualized. I thought that was very cool, and it helped me as an
Totally.
artist, and uh, made me just realize how awesome and tough you are. So
Oh, thanks, friend. I think that was one of the first times that we really talked too, like as friends. AJ,
yeah,
I would consider you my friend, so you're stuck with me for
sweet.
the rest of your life. I'm so sorry.
That's fine. That's how I'm loyal to a fault and beyond. So
There you go. There you go.
get used to
Drunkle
it.
Grog will tell you where to send the restraining order. So
No problem.
I love it. And so about your art,
About my
I
art.
was telling you before the stream that your character drawing of my
Mm.
bugbear, my bugbear rogue former soldier PTSD, with his little spectacles and
Uh-huh.
his kitten pittance in his
So
market
cute.
tote, is just one of my favorite character drawings ever.
Awesome.
Um, but like, art, how did you get into that, buddy? Like, what inspired you to pick up that pencil, pen, marker, crayon, whatever,
I'm
and start drawing?
I have no idea. I've gone in and out of art the majority of my life. I lost art when I was a kid because we were moving a lot, and so I lost a
Mhm.
bunch of my art stuff. So I quit for quite a while. I failed art class consistently because I didn't turn in my work. I didn't want to do the work that they wanted me to do. So,
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
but in that failure, when I moved out here to Oregon, I had to do extra credit work to graduate high school. And so we had to do this work study. And so I was
Mhm.
on the school newspaper doing drawing and, and busting out articles and all that. And a local guy who elevated kids who looked after him, he was a coach, and he owned this. We only had one market in the town of Langlois where I was living, and he owned it. And he had these, they're still up. He has these sandwich signs of all the descriptions of the sandwiches with a drawing on it.
Mhm.
And so he wanted them redone in my style.
Mhm.
And so for 2 years, that's what I did. I drew for an hour after school, and I then cleaned the market, swept and whatnot. And so if it wasn't for Lee Pastana, I wouldn't have graduated because I wouldn't have had enough credits. And so
Mhm.
even though I was a graduate without honors, I was a graduate, and it was because of him loving youth and taking care of them. And
Mhm.
and so that was the beginning of the journey. And so I've done murals. I keep getting hired to do art, and so I've done a few more murals. And yeah, and so I got, I guess, my most notable. I'll plug myself.
Totally do.
Totally
I
do.
support this.
If you guys can see that,
Uh-huh.
Timothy Zahn's Outbound Flight.
Mhm.
Uh, I was fortunate enough to meet Tim Zahn and know him, and
Mhm.
another fantastic guy who looks to elevate also. One of the
Mhm.
things that hasn't been done was art in a Star Wars novel. They usually do not have inserts of art, but when he was doing Outbound Flight, he had these 6 dreadnoughts, and he wanted them arrayed a certain way, and so he had me draw.
Oh, you're in a Star Wars book.
Yeah, I'm in a Star Wars book, and so that's my biggest claim to fame right there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and if you mail me your stuff, I'll sign it for you and send it back to you.
I was gonna say, so we all need to buy the book. You're gonna drop it in the Behind the Mask chat. We're all gonna buy it, and then you're gonna provide us your home address.
That's not.
And we're gonna send it to you. You need a PO box.
Yeah, I'm fine. But yeah, no, so yeah, I think that's my greatest claim to fame right there is I have Star Wars art, and not very many people have that opportunity to do that. And so I thought that was way cool. Funny story.
Yes, please tell us.
When I was doing this art, I ended up having to rush it. The first piece of art I sent to him, and I dropped it off to him, and he sent it to his publisher. His publisher got caught in a rainstorm, and it got destroyed.
Oh.
And so he calls me up and says, "Hey, I need that again. Can you reproduce it?" And so what's in the book is actually the sketch that I basically inked over super fast and got to him. And so on top of that, my mother was having a gallbladder attack, and she had to have surgery, like emergency surgery. So we live way in the boonies. Already we live in the boonies. And so I'm 20 minutes to Langlois, then here to, I'm an hour to the nearest Walmart. Just so you.
Oh God. Okay.
Yeah. So the nearest real hospital is an hour away. And so I'm like, okay, Mom, let's go to the hospital. You got to go. But I got to drop this off to Timothy Zahn first. Okay.
So
Yeah. So we're flying, driving, and mind you, we live in the boonies. So we live back on Langlois Mountain, which is a ridge top. So it's 20 minutes of twisty turn down, where you can.
Was it all paved or was it gravel too?
It was mostly paved. Yeah.
Mostly paved. Yeah.
Mostly.
I know those roads.
And so I stopped by. I'm like, Tim, I'm dropping it off in the mailbox because I got to take my mom to the hospital. Because you take your mom to the hospital. So there we go.
So this art almost killed your mother.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, she's probably more afraid of my driving than anything else. That mountain is something else.
Oh my God.
Everything seems to come down to the wire. I also did when I told you I got hired on for cranberries, I got hired on to do a wine label. And so the guy who hired me, Wayne Foster, was the biggest talker I've ever met. My first week was sitting in the office talking with him while the men got to do work, and they were happy to do work because they didn't have to sit and babysit the boss and talk to him. So he hired me. 6 months later, he hired me to do a label, and he's like, "I'll tell you what I need." Okay. So I'm like, "All right, I'll do some sketches. Just let me know what you want." And so I come in late one day, and he's like, "Do you have that sketch?" I'm like, "Do I have the what?" He's like, "Do you have that drawing? I need that label." I'm like, "You never told me what you wanted." And so, so I did this label in 2 hours with my crappy paper my sketch paper and my car bag full of broken Crayola colored pencils. And so that was what he used, and he loved it. And so another one of those down to the wire, here's your art. I love it, and everyone loved it, and it was ridiculous. So
I love that. Down to the wire, here's your.
There you go. I love it.
Pulled some things, places like that. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that's so good. I'd love it later if you would drop that wine label into the chat. I'm super interested. Drunkle Grog also had another good question. Like, how did you get so good at 90s skateboard art?
Um, Maybe just because that was like what we grew
We
up
grew
on.
up.
Yeah. Well, growing up, that's what I wanted to be for a while there, comic book artist, because that
Mhm.
it was the year it was X-Men Gold, and that
Wow.
was that time, the 90s X-Men, and that's what I wanted. That's
The
what me and my buddy wanted.
90s X-Men were everything. If y'all
They
don't
still are.
know, you
Yeah.
don't know.
Oh, you can find them on Disney Plus.
Oh, there we
They're
go.
all on. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Drunken Grog and I watch those all the time.
Yeah. That's how I met my best friend. And
Oh.
he's like, "Do you watch X-Men?" Because he wouldn't leave me alone. I go, "You watch X-Men?" Yeah. All right. We're gonna watch X-Men together. He goes, "I got it on tape." The dude, my buddy Sam, he VHS everything, everything. So we
Sam
watched.
was wise. Sam was wise. I found one of my
Sam as
old
well.
Sailor Moon VHSs that I like
Mm-hmm.
recorded on Cartoon Network.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we
Yeah.
did it. That's how we did it back in the day, kids. We didn't have video on demand. We didn't go to Netflix and choose a show. We had to catch it on our VCR. If the
Yeah.
VCR broke, there was
Or the
nothing you could
power
do.
went off and your timer didn't set right.
Oh my gosh. Right?
Or if
Right?
you didn't rewind it just right, and if you didn't cue it
Mhm.
up, you overlapped something else and it overridden it.
You would miss the end of
Mhm.
part of the X-Men or Sailor Moon.
He got in
Yeah,
so
yeah.
much trouble for over taping soap operas of his mother's. What can you do?
Oh my God, the struggle was real. Y'all don't
Yeah.
know.
But yeah, no,
That's the best.
that art style is one I find really hard to do. The bold, straight lines, simple art is so hard for me. But it's what I like to do. Uh,
Mhm.
I like if I'm just drawing myself, I'm going to use a ballpoint pen and um, go cholo style and just do it like that and shade with it. But that's that big bold line. That's what I have to focus to do that, and that's what normally what I've been doing.
I like that. Oh, fun. All right. So, ooh, Mark has a very deep question. Why does almost every game you play in turn sad? I had to do the hand with that too.
Um, yeah, and if you look in chat, there's that Seamus Winery. Crazy.
Oh, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
This is the if y'all are watching on YouTube and you're
Oh, you're
not on our Discord channel yet, you're missing out. Like
so
we've
missing
got
out.
like 70 people watching us on Discord right now.
At least 7. Yeah, at least 7.
It's at least seven. I think it's
Yeah.
at least seven.
Excuse me.
Yeah, no, it's eight. It's eight.
Yeah.
Although one of them is Andrew and one of them is Mark, and they run the back end of things, but we won't
Yeah.
talk
They
about
count.
that.
They count. They totally count. They totally count.
They totally count.
They
Totally
totally
count.
count. And why does Mark and my games usually turn out really sad? I think because I was thinking about this today as I was reading over the questions, and I think it has to do with contrast and
Mm.
realism because we
Hmm.
don't know you don't know what you got until you've lost something, right? How can you be thankful for something if you don't know what loss is, right? And so I think that's part of
True.
it. Yeah. So I think that's it. I think that's if you don't know what you've lost, you have a hard time being thankful for what you have. And I think that translates into our games. And plus, sad stuff just makes your character stronger if they can
Uh-huh.
overcome it. And so, and you need that heat exchange, the hot and cold, to be able to get energy and make stuff.
Mhm. Did you find that true in your own life?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know, and I can see that in contrast. I moved a lot as a kid, and so I lost
Mm.
friends, and items and stuff like that, and homes and connections and all that. And so I know what I lost. I knew what it was like to grow up poor using food stamps when he actually had the stamps, and the
Mhm.
feeling of it all. And now I live super comfy with an amazing wife and kids. The kids have only known this one house. I've lived in this house since '08, and it's stability, and I know what I'm thankful for because I know what I haven't had. I know what it's
Mhm.
like to lose stuff and lose friends and family and possessions and stuff. But I look at my kids and they don't know because I've insulated them and we've protected them, and so they
Mhm.
don't have that comparison. So, in my own life, I look how sad my life was as a child compared to how joyous it is now, and
Mhm.
I can't complain about anything because I know how crappy it was,
Mhm.
and I know how good I have it now. So I think the hard thing for me is looking at like my kids and realizing that they haven't experienced the loss, so they can't compare to it.
Yeah.
So,
And you know, it's
yes, God is good. To come up,
yeah.
yeah.
I see you. I see you.
Hmm.
It's there's so much to unpack with that I want to unpack. Um,
10 minutes, go.
I think
We can
I
go as
know,
long.
right? I think
You're gonna
it's
turn
so
into a pumpkin
important.
before I do. So
I totally am. I totally am. I'm stifling yawns over here. I'm like, I'm fine. Um, but like, yeah, we're going super. It's a 3-hour show tonight. You didn't realize this?
yes, it is.
I know. Like I don't know about you, like, and I had a pretty decent childhood, and then I had a rough like 20s into my
Yeah.
30s. It was rough. Um, and like just being able to have experienced that and be able to touch and experience it in game, like to
Mhm.
me helps make it real again and gives me that appreciation for what I have now. Like I joke at work now, like, you know, no one's dead, like because it used to be a reality
Exactly.
in my life, right?
Yeah.
And I love what you're saying about this contrast, this hot and cold, and just being able to really continue to, I don't know, like thrive. Help me out here. I'm
Yeah.
saying
And so,
something. It's important.
yeah.
Let's keep going.
So perspective helps a lot. And
Thank
I
you. That's
think,
that word I'm missing.
yeah, it's perspective. And
Mhm. Mhm.
because I know where I was or what I've seen, and I can see that they haven't, and so they can't connect with that.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so there's a camaraderie with those who have seen it. And I think
Mhm.
with role playing, it's also very therapeutic because each of our characters is a portion of us, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Uh, and I think part of that is there's there are some characters I will never want to play again because there's a part of me in that I don't want to experience again.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I think that's the power of this game and our hobby of role playing is it's therapy in one aspect. It's fun,
Yeah, definitely. Mhm.
but at times it's rough. Like you look at our Coruscant Nights Connie episode,
Mhm.
the two-parter. Sucker made me
Mhm.
cry. I mean, gave me allergies. And
There's just a lot of dust, and there
be-
were volcanoes.
yeah, it was like, oh, that space station was super dusty. I don't know. It must have been the pollen from that space tree. And so with it, like her character had this arc of PTSD and dealing with trauma and stuff like that. And so
Mhm.
I could connect with that. And I
Mhm.
think I can connect with that more than I can connect with other characters that are just playing a game.
Yeah.
And I'm much rather, I don't want to say I'd much rather play that because there's times when I just want to play a game. I just want to
Right,
turn my brain off
right.
and play. but
No, but
I'm going to
it's
remember those moments where it's heavy, and when you sit back and you just go, dang, that was something. Like
yeah.
me playing with the Deadbeats, with that game gets heavy. Like if you haven't listened to this last
Oh,
episode,
yeah.
I'm
I had
listening
to
my
actually
voice.
put it
Yeah.
down because it got so heavy that I was like, I don't know if I can listen to this right now.
Yeah. No. And I think that,
Mhm.
and, we bonded over that. Um, and it was good. And it's
Mhm.
one of those games that's memorable. And I've played plenty of games where we just played and it was fun, but it wasn't amazing. As my buddy used to say,
Yeah.
we didn't see color. Um, and
Oh, I
there was,
love that.
yeah, it's that whole Terry Pratchett, what's the color of magic? Octoroon, whatever color, it's like a off
I
purple.
have not read Terry Pratchett, and I know I'm a horrible person for
I've
that.
only read
So
his
nobody
first,
has to tell me
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. I've only read the first one and where he talked about it, but
Mhm.
what my buddies would say, uh, when we got done with the game and he goes, dude, I saw color. That means we've seen, we could see it in our brains. We felt it. And that's a game that's worthy of remembering, and so
It's
I think
also
that's,
like it's a safe place to share that part of yourself, that part of your trauma. That's not something that you can take out and like show people on a whim either. There is a with a good gaming group, there's such a
yeah.
safety created in that you can be like, hey, I'm going to bring out this very sensitive part of myself and we're going to play through it. It's going to be cathartic for me. And it's me showing you a piece of myself that in any other situation I wouldn't be able to show you.
And that's what I like about our community here is,
Hmm.
well, one, we do our best to keep it Star Warsy as far as Star Wars
I mean,
rated, right? Okay. Uh,
right.
like,
Mark doesn't let me cuss. I'm fully
yeah,
aware.
yeah. Well, and yeah. And so but I'm not, and we also have a verbal contract with each other
Mhm.
that, when we start a game, was like, what's your boundaries? Like,
Right.
how far are we willing to go? Like, I'll match you wherever you go. Um, Zach on here blew me away. He's a Navy boy, I think. And so he's
Mhm.
like, I'm Navy. I'll go as deep as anyone wants to go, as dirty, whatever. But at the same time, it goes, I'll be as clean as we want. And I was blown away with the willing
Yep.
and lovingness of someone being able to do that. And I think that's the majority of almost our entire community is like that.
Yeah.
And that's healthy.
Yeah.
And we do it without bitterness, like, oh, you're taking away something from me. Well, I'm dialing it back so that we can be on the same level. And I love it. It's amazing. So,
Right. Well, and it's like for the kids, as soon as we get kids interested in this, like
mhm.
why would we use, why would we not teach them better words to use?
Yeah,
So
like
I love
Criff
that.
and Poodoo and,
Yeah, Crip is my favorite. Oh my gosh, it's so good. I really could talk to you for 2 hours.
huh?
I'm not going to do that because I have to get up and work tomorrow morning on East Coast time.
Oh, well, I suppose you add East Coast time.
East Coast
I'm like, my
time.
family's eating dinner right now. It's only 7 o'clock. Let's go.
Right.
We're
Why are
fine.
you so tired? What's your
Yeah.
problem?
It's only almost midnight for you.
One
So,
more question. I'm getting
all right.
told one more question from the chat. I'm gonna try to not go as deep as we just went, but like and that's why I
Mhm.
appreciate you, friend, is like we can have those deep conversations and
Absolutely.
feel that trauma and then get right back out of it. Let's see. I really want
There's so
a
many good
good one.
questions.
There are so many good
You guys
questions.
are, well, yeah,
Like
there's
it.
so much.
So AJ, your homework is to answer all of these. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Mostly. Um, hmm.
Just do a shotgun round.
Shotgun round. All right. What is your favorite color?
Black.
What is your least favorite flavor?
Grape, artificial grape.
Ooh, drink of choice.
Coffee.
Introvert or extrovert?
Intro. Closet.
Question mark.
Well, I love being around people, but I value my private time above hanging out with people. So, I get energized by us. Like this chat is going to get me jazzed up. I'm ready to go for another few hours. This is what I love to do: talk to people and bounce.
One-on-one is so easy. 50
Oh, it's
million
so
people is
yeah.
terrible.
I don't know.
I
I've
love it.
preached before, so it's fine, but not in 50 million people. But it's fine.
It's
Conversation is
fun.
so much nice. So much
Yes,
nice.
no, I agree with you.
Yeah.
So, Star Wars or Star Trek? I altered that question
There's
from
only
Drunken
Star
Bro.
Wars. There's only Star Wars.
Get
Look,
out.
no, look, it's like this. It's like this. Okay. I saw this on here and I was like,
Mhm.
why do I love Star Wars? And why do I not? How can I not? I don't care for Star Trek at all. I like Voyager.
Really?
Voyager was fine. I watched
Voyager was
Voyager
awesome. Yeah, it was ahead of
because
its
it
time.
was a Western. And I realized that my papa, my grandpa,
Uh-huh.
we only watched Westerns growing up. Westerns, police in the heat of the night, stuff like that. And so I'm like, I grew up on Westerns, and
Hmm.
this is a Western in space. And I don't know
So
what
why
Star
is
Trek is,
Firefly your favorite science fiction? Go.
because they didn't have it long enough to screw it up.
That's very true. Very, very true. That's all right. We all know
And
that Firefly is everybody's favorite. It's
it
just an
still is. It
unspoken rule.
absolutely is.
Oh my God, it's my
Absolutely.
favorite. I watch it every year.
Hmm.
All right, friend, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to cut this short. I
Yeah.
know everybody wants the 3-hour AJ special, but we got it's not a bad Western Drunkle Grog. You shut your mouth,
Whoa, whoa,
go
whoa,
back to
whoa.
taking care of my dog. Stop.
That's low.
I know he threw that in the chat. Um, but anyway, so let folks know where we can find you on the interwebs, where we can
Yeah.
stalk your art, where we can stalk you.
Yeah.
We want to know.
I do daily drawings on Instagram and I send them over to Facebook and to Twitter. You can find me at AJ_Kimball, where I put up daily art. February, I'm doing Fairy February. And so I'm doing a whole bunch of different types of fae. Last month was Dead Wolves, where it had a skull and a wolf's motif all over it. I think March is going to be March of Robots because a bunch of people are doing it and it's a big community thing.
I like it.
If you're into NFTs, I will be putting one out with my buddies of the Gutenberg group. It's going to be called The Mundanes. It'll be a bunch of different occupations, a bunch of different characters, and it's been a lot of fun to do. And so, find me at Instagram, AJ_Kimball. So
I
that's where
like
I'm
it.
at.
And are you live tomorrow somewhere?
Yes, come back tomorrow night. We are doing our Hop Company, where Andrew Armstrong III of Dicey Cantina and Mark Eberhardt of Hoff Stuff, Coruscant Nights, Otherplace, Fenrain Files. There's got to be something else, and I'm sure there's
He's
a bunch of
also
other
at
stuff.
Dicey
Oh,
Cantina at some
he's
point.
also Dicey Cantina, also
Does he
on
do any
Flight Risk.
voices on Flight Risk? Yeah, yeah.
Him and Doug did an arc where they played Fire and Earthbenders. It was fantastic.
I
And
love that.
let's see, Mark also does game
Lone
design.
Games of the Apocalypse. hmm He's posting
Um,
it.
there you go.
I'm cheating.
Yeah. Okay. And so tomorrow we are doing our second run of we're in Mad Max World. We're using the
Love it.
Genesis FFG rules, and they're playing a dude and a dog in the wilderness on a motorcycle in a sidecar.
And it's Cattle Dog, right?
Oh, it has to be a catalog. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the only
And
thing
there are
that.
no other
Yeah,
dogs in the apocalypse,
yeah.
except for my dog. But all right. And Hedgehog Hop.
And
Oh my
hedgehog hop
gosh. I'm
and mouse cheese cat cucumber.
Mouse, cheese, cat, cucumber. Yeah, that was a good game. Did the
Yeah.
art for that. All right. Anyway, but AJ Kimball, AJ_Kimball.
Yep.
all over the interwebs. AJ, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so
My
much
pleasure.
for having us out. I totally didn't tell you how we're going out of this. What we're going to do is I'm going to say, have a good night, everyone. And we're both going to smile. Ready?
Yep.
Have a good night, everyone. See you next time.